Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cape Cod Regional Government Assembly of Delegates meeting of Wednesday, October 19th. I'll call this meeting to order, and we will begin as usual with a moment of silence to honor our troops who have died in service to our country and all those serving our country in the armed forces. Thank you, and now we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will call the roll.
Richard Anderson.
Here.
Cheryl Andrews.
Here.
Ronald Bergstrom.
Here.
Leo Kukunis. Christopher Kanega. James Killian.
Here.
Marcia King.
Here.
Thomas Lynch.
Here.
Teresa Martin.
Here.
Deborah McCutcheon.
Here.
Spiro Mitrakostas.
Here.
John Oman.
Here.
Paul Pilcher.
Here.
Anthony Scalise.
Here.
Julia Taylor. Mr. Speaker, we have a quorum with 76.99% of the delegates present, 23.01% absent.
Thank you. I'll now need a motion to approve the calendar of business.
Motion to approve the calendar of business.
Yep. Moved and seconded. Is there any additions or corrections to the calendar? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You should have a copy or have received a copy of the Journal of October 5th, 2011. Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? If not, do I have a motion to approve the Journal of October 5th?
Motion to approve the Journal of October 5th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have one of the regional commissioners here. Bill was indisposed, so I'll ask Mary Pat. She has a very sparse report she has to give us. Is that right?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I was congratulated the other day by someone who complimented me for speaking in the fewest words. So in order to maintain that reputation, I really have nothing to say today.
Okay.
Now, what I will say is today we had a most interesting meeting with Chip Osborne on this whole idea of organic management of soils and growing grasses and other things that we all use to keep our properties looking very nice. And it's a complete shift in terms of the reduction of nitrogen as well, which is really the whole idea of not putting all the pesticides on our lawns. We continue to look to NSTAR as a villain for using pesticides on the rights of way, but when you think about it, it's really the homeowners who consume the most pesticides on the Cape. So he spent about an hour and a half with us, and I think we have something very positive that we can work with and move forward, or the towns can, because I'm not sure that the county has really any, we have no governing authority over the towns, but the boards of health obviously have broad powers in each town, and that might be something that boards of health in the individual towns might want to take up, particularly since a good way to start would be with the municipally owned properties, like athletic fields and other municipal lands, parks, in utilizing organic management. So,
Yeah. Is there any questions for the commissioners? Tom?
I've heard Mr. Osborne before, and did he happen to comment on NSTAR though with you? Was there any question asked about that? Because
no.
Okay, because I know that he has real concerns about the cocktail that's put together that you know, they do spray, and so I wouldn't want to leave the impression that while the majority of, you know, the problem may stem from you know, homeowner use or other facilities, I know he has very strong feelings about that too. And I believe that's in preparation for on November 9th. There's going to be a forum for everyone to come, and he will be speaking at it and conducting the lecture. And it will be all on, I think, using organic materials and what have you. And it's a big problem, and, you know.
Well, thank you for mentioning that. November 9th, Sue Phelan was at our meeting also from Green Cape. And she provided us with a flyer, which was in my car, because I was somewhere in between the commissioners' meeting and here. So it is important, and he is going to be there, and he's very, very knowledgeable. He is from Marblehead, and he's worked very closely with the town of Marblehead, and they've done made extraordinary efforts to really use organics on all their town properties and fields. And he has lots of slides, and you can see over the course of 3 or 4 years how these lands have really benefited from that. That reminded me of something else you said. Oh, about NSTAR. Yes, we talked about it afterwards. And what he was saying was the products that are being used, really only about 2% of them actually hold the chemical that functions as the pesticide itself. But all the inert chemicals or other products that are used, no one knows. They are never tested, so no one really knows what the effects are of all the inert pieces to those products. And I don't think many of us really were aware of that.
Thank you. Anything else for? All right. Thank you very much.
Great.
Any communications from public officials? Is this meeting being recorded by anybody else besides our audiovisual people? No. Okay. Then we'll move on to the communications and a presentation from Children's Cove Director Stacy Gallagher, Mary LeClaire, Katie Parton, and Dave Willard. You're going to have to share that mic, so remember when you speak that you have to talk into it. Yeah, go ahead.
There we go. Thanks. I'm just passing around some information. There's a bunch of information about Children's Cove in those packets for you. I wanted you to have something. So my name is Stacy Gallagher. I'm the director of Children's Cove. For those who haven't met me before, I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity for us to be able to present you with an overview of Children's Cove. I know that the longtime assembly members probably know all of our services, but for the new members, I just want to be sure that we know all of our services that we provide at Children's Cove. So I'll be doing a very, very brief overview of Children's Cove. We could go on forever about it, but after me, I wanted to have Mary Claire, who's chair of our advisory board, present information about a funding request, as well as Dave Willard from Cape Cod 5, who's also a long-standing advisory board member, speak about the importance of Children's Cove in the community. So to start, I just want to let you know about Children's Cove being a national network program. So we are not just a sole agency based on the Cape. We are one of 11 child advocacy centers in Massachusetts. We have been around for 14 years, and we're one of over 700 child advocacy centers in the nation, and they're actually going overseas now. So we have partner agencies, Barnstable County, obviously, Department of Mental Health, the District Attorney's Office, Cape Cod Healthcare, and Department of Children and Families. And we work very closely with those partners, including law enforcement and state law enforcement as well. We're also members of a state chapter, the Massachusetts Children's Alliance, who we meet with monthly and have network meetings with other child advocacy centers in Massachusetts. The goal of our program, which has been the same goal and same mission for the last 14 years, is the same goal as every child advocacy center, and it's to reduce the trauma to children who have been sexually abused, severely physically abused, and are witness to domestic violence. And we provide services for those children. We estimate about 200 kids a year are seen at our agency alone, with obviously child advocacy centers in the bigger cities seeing more children. But there are obviously more out there that haven't disclosed yet. So the goal being to reduce the trauma. So I just kind of wanted to introduce to you somewhat of how cases come into us. For those who don't know, if a child is disclosing any of those abuses, it will be triggered by law enforcement or the Department of Children and Families. We then get the case. The case comes into us, and that's where our services are triggered. So the first service that comes in is called the SAIN, S-A-I-N, which is the Sexual Assault Intervention Network. And that's just a fancy word for forensic interviews. And what we do is conduct a forensic interview. It's an investigative, non-leading interview of a child with a forensic interviewer in a room one-on-one with that child. It's not a therapy session. It's for law enforcement and for the Department of Children and Families to find out what exactly happened to this child with the team, the multidisciplinary team behind a mirror, watching and observing, taking notes, so that the child doesn't have to talk to so many people over and over and over again about what happened in their life. From that point, we'll have a meeting with the investigative, the multidisciplinary team, and the parents to figure out what's going to happen from there. From there, other services are triggered, and I'm giving you the very, very short version of what we do at Children's Cove. So we have a family advocacy program. The family advocacy program bringing the support of the family, being, it's the first person they meet when they come through the door, court accompaniment, support through any of the services that we provide, additional resources that the family may need, very important, and Mary will talk more about the family advocacy piece of it. We have a mental health component, which is therapy. We do on-site therapy, very specialized trauma therapy for children who have been abused. Very rare in this community. We have a very specialized resource, very acute and short-term. So then children are referred out after that into the community with hopefully the very same trauma specialists. We also have a medical component, the medical component being called the SANE, another SANE, S-A-N-E, Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner. Very specialized medical experienced nurse that conducts forensic medical exams of these kids on site at Children's Cove and evidence collection if necessary. That position at Children's Cove is funded by Cape Cod Healthcare. So we also do training and outreach to community agencies. It's a very new program for us, probably 4 years old. Training and outreach to the communities, awareness about child sexual abuse. We train our law enforcement partners on everything from mandated reporting to child exploitation, anything that we can train around these issues. We've trained over 4,000 individuals within the last year, so very important. Not a lot of people doing it on Cape Cod, so it's a very special program for us to be able to get awareness out there. We have a family program as well as family services. Family services meaning if we have additional funding through fundraising, we're able to help families financially through resources if we can do it. Very minimal costs, if any, if these families need them, or referring them to outside agencies that can help them with additional resources. So all of these services that we do on site are one-stop shop for these kids. Before child advocacy centers existed over 25 years ago, these children would have to go to the police department and disclose, to a hospital and wait hours and hours to be examined. That's why we do the work that we do. They're all in our agency, get all of the services in one place, and we're going to continue doing that same work. So I've left you some statistics in your packets. I don't want to bore you with statistics. There's a bunch of them. One statistic just is very important to us and kind of give you an idea of how many kids are actually abused is the national statistic of 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18. So again, very important work that we're doing. My staff are all here, and we're all experts in this field. We consider ourselves experts in this field. They've all been around a very long time. There's a lot of turnover in this field, as you can imagine, a lot of burnout, and I have to say that the staff that we have, and their expertise and dedication has been great, and we're one of a lot of child advocacy centers that don't have this longevity. So thank you, and I want Mary to talk to you briefly about a funding opportunity for us, hopefully.
Before I do that, I have to thank you because I can remember 14 years ago when we came before you to do this. And at that time, I was a county treasurer. And I used to watch the children come through to go to the sane room, and it would be across in my office. And those children would be seeing people going upstairs in the to the courtrooms in their orange outfits. And you could just see the need for what we have today. And to know it's grown to what it is something that you should be really proud of, because we've all had a hand in it. But I'm here to talk about something else. I'm talking about the Budget 13 process, and there's a new initiative in that budget. It's to replace the current part-time family program assistant with a full-time family advocate. We have Katie Parton in the office, in the audience today, who is the part-time family, but we need to have her go full-time. For one thing, it's going to be a necessary component to maintain our national accreditation. We worked many years for our accreditation. It took almost 10 years, didn't it, Stacy, to become accredited, and with the National Children's Alliance, and we certainly don't want to take any chances on losing that. The position is critical for the future work of Children's Cove. It provides a criminal justice advocacy, somebody who is with them from the court accompaniments, outside resources, case management. Case management, I can't speak enough of how important case management is. Child and family support, an essential part of the multidisciplinary team. And that's in the budget of fiscal year 13. For the salary and fringes, we're asking $40,000. And I'm asking to please look at that when the budget does come up. And thank you for listening to us.
Mary, can I ask you, is the $40,000 is in addition to other funds, or is that the total position, $40,000?
That's the total.
No, she's part-time now, so.
That's an additional $40,000, okay. And where does the first 40, where does the,
The county now,
so right now, we're paying a certain amount?
part-time,
And you're asking for an additional 40,000?
right, to go
Okay.
full-time.
David?
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak today. I'm here as a very proud and loyal board member of Children's Cove. You know, there are hundreds of nonprofits on the Cape, and I can't think of a one who could do what the people at Children's Cove do to provide this children-friendly, more relaxed ambiance and environment than anyone else could. As I said, this eliminated the form of torture that kids had to go through of seeing police and hospital people and that sort of thing. Recently, Children's Cove held a Cape-wide conference to talk about what they do and to have other providers who are involved in nonprofits that feed the agency. And at this conference was a Judge Charles Gill, who's been a Superior Court judge in Connecticut for 27 years, and he's a nationally known expert on children's legal rights. And he was quite an outspoken chap. He now has a TV show called The Judge and Mrs. Jones. And what he said, however, he is a real judge, and what he said is that in the United States, spotted owls have more rights than children. There is a paucity of laws that protect children. And so with that said, you begin to realize that the work of what Children's Cove does is even more important. And what Stacy and her very capable crew have done is through good marketing. I think you've heard the ads on the radio. They're quite profound when Stacy gets on and talks candidly about what happens when children get abused. And through this candor, it has encouraged many people to come forth. And you may have seen at TD Bank North. I think that's their name today. It's TD Bank at least. They do a wonderful job through Wendell Marketing, who works almost pro bono for Children's Cove. You may have seen 200 whirligigs in front of all 15 offices. I think it's in the fall. It's coming up soon. And it represents the 200 people, the 200 children and families that Children's Cove sees annually. So I'd just like to close by saying that in many places where I go and Children's Cove is talked about, it is seen as almost a county agency, and it's talked with great appreciation for what the county does contribute now. And I know that you should be proud to be associated with Children's Cove, and so am I. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you for your time. I just wanted to close with, I know many of you have been to Children's Cove, but we always invite the opportunity to come and see what we do. For those who haven't been over, it's pretty difficult to explain what we do without seeing it firsthand. So I invite all of you to just come over and kind of see the facility, because it's great for kids. Thank you.
Does any of the members of the Assembly have any questions on this matter? I have one question. Is the first, when you on a budget request, the first stop is usually the Commissioner's office, and see if
I
you
know.
get them included.
Yeah.
Have you been to them yet?
I've spoken to them about it. We have, Sheila Lyons is on our advisory board as well, and it was, I had let them know that I was going to at least put the word out that that's what we'll be requesting.
Okay.
Yes.
Tom?
This is the time of year where people are looking to make tax-deductible contributions.
Yeah.
Your literature doesn't necessarily give an address and stuff, but for those viewers who may be watching who would want to contribute to such a worthy organization, is there an easy way to do that?
There is. We have our P.O. Box. We can send donations to P.O. Box 427, Barnstable 02630, but we also have the ability to accept donations through our website, which is childrenscove.org.
Okay. Anything else? Well, we will await with bated breath the
Thank you.
the Commissioner's budget, and we'll look. The first thing we'll look for is to see if that's.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
There any communications from members of the public? Okay.
Hi, Mitch Rellin, Town of Brewster. As some of you may know, tomorrow the Joint Committee on Telecommunications, Utilities, and Energy will be at the Barnstable High School auditorium from 10 to 4. There's currently, before that Joint Committee, House and Senate bills, some of which are referred to as WESRA, or Wind Energy Siting Reform Act. And basically, if passed, it will severely limit the local and the regional planning authority when approving and siting large-scale wind turbines. Now, this has a direct effect, of course, on the workings and the authority that the Cape Cod Commission has. Obviously, with those developments of regional impact, the regulations would be established statewide by an advisory committee at the state level. This would apply to those facilities of 2 megawatts or more, clearly DRI projects. We feel that it is critically important that citizens across the Cape speak to this issue. They had a previous hearing in the Berkshires. Certainly the Berkshires and the Cape area would be the two locations in the state that are seen as having the best wind resource. So it's critically important that we show up, and I am urging any and all of you as private individuals, as citizens, or as representing the Assembly, to speak to this issue. The county governance is here to establish, it seems to me, regulations and supervisions of what's going here on the Cape. You supported the Cape Cod Commission's minimum performance standards. These bills, if approved, would basically negate that. So please show up. Please state your opposition to these regulations and laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Yes.
Thank you very much for your time, Lily Green, Wellfleet. And I would say that what Mitch just said is that there's a potential for that to happen. It does take away local control, impinge upon our personal and community rights for have our day in court, and also has potential to threaten our environmental laws. And the reason why I'm so concerned about this is this pink map that I think some of you have seen before. These are the areas where those standards have been lowered from the Department of Energy maps, where on a scale of 1 to 7, where 7 is superb, we're mostly a 2 or a 3. But the state has lowered the standards. It doesn't mean that there's any more wind, but this pink area is the area where is now considered high wind area. And when the Joint Committee was in the Berkshires for the hearing, the Berkshire delegates asked the Secretary of Energy and Environment how many turbines are slated for the Berkshires. They said 188, that which people gasped at. But if you do the math, and even at 2.5 megawatts, that's about 500 megawatts. Now the governor's looking for 2,000 megawatts. Where are the rest of them going to go? I mean, how many is that? Between 600 and 1,000? I don't know. But so I do think it's important for us to take an active look-see at this and to make our comments known and share information with this committee. And I also wanted to bring up the point that I sincerely appreciate the fact that the Assembly of Delegates looked very carefully at the Oceans Management Plan, and it was voted down as an ordinance. I don't know if all of you know that the Cape Cod Commission last week, I was at the meeting and I made comments, but the Cape Cod Full Commission did approve the plan even though you actually voted down the ordinance. So I ask you, my concern was also that it would make this area more accessible for giant wind turbines, which are really power plants. And so given that circumstance, I have even more concerns about tomorrow and about the wind energy siting reform bill, which is just on land, but I think could have grave ramifications for Cape Cod. And I also would ask you to really seriously talk and consider nominating a DCPC for the ocean management plan so that your vote counts and that we can study this further before this ocean management plan is actually an actual invitation to developers to come in and develop our waters. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, is there any other members of the public wish to speak? Hearing none, the Assembly will now convene, and we will begin with the minutes. I guess, John, you have minutes for us?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Finance Committee met on October 5th, 2011 with the Finance Director and Treasurer, Mark Zielinski, to discuss the Treasury's report for fiscal year 2011. And we had a long discussion with him and asked him more specifically about how he balanced the budget for the year. And with great fiscal gymnastics, he came to us and told us that indeed at the end of the year we were in the black by $333. There was some skepticism. We moved on and we asked him about this year, which is much more important to me right now, and the effect of the real estate market on the county budget going forward. And with much more fiscal gymnastics, he decided that to this date there was no reason to take drastic measures to trim the budget, but he would be looking forward to to looking at that more diligently as the year goes on, recognizing that the further along this goes, the less ability the cuts would become and more painful that they would become at the same time. With that, the committee decided 4-0 to not take a vote on anything, but to do diligence to keep on him. And I am taking it personally that I'm going to meet with Mr. Zelinski on a regular basis and report back to my Finance Committee and the Assembly in general on these matters. Thank you.
John, we're going to have to take, you guys have copies of the minutes, so you're going to have to just do quickly.
I believe that they were disseminated to everybody in the Assembly.
Yeah, we need to approve them.
Oh, okay. I would ask, with all of that long-windedness, that the Assembly would approve these minutes
Well,
as...
the committee approves it.
The committee would approve these minutes. We have a vote and a second. All in favor? Any opposed?
Okay.
It's carried. Thank you.
The committee that this body formed looking into the affairs of both CVEC and Cape Light Compact met again today. This is the second time we met. If you remember, the first meeting was taken up mostly by a presentation by Maggie Downey of the Cape Light Compact, and she discussed the relationship of the two bodies and some of their financial dealings in the past. This meeting this afternoon was taken up, I'd say 2/3 of the meeting by the public comment. The public was given an opportunity to respond and to express their comments. The board listened. A lot of them you've heard before, or you may have received them over email. At the end, I'm not going to go into it, but I'm sure that we'll try to get the minutes of this meeting to all the members of the Assembly as soon as possible. But we've decided that we would take the questions under advisement, that we would talk to the leaders of Cape Light Compact and CVEC and make them aware of whatever concerns the members of the committee have, and specifically, and ask them to come in at a later date, probably November 16th, I think we're right now tentatively looking for November 16th, and to give any further explanations that are necessary. So that's where we stand now, and you know, if any of you have any concerns, if you were here for the meeting, or if you've been communicated to by your constituents or others, you can talk to us, and we'll see that that's addressed on the 16th. Okay, now, report from the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have really nothing specific to report today, other than I hope that you're finding it helpful that when I send out the electronic meeting packets, I'm trying to give you a little bit of a futuristic view into what may be coming up in subsequent meetings, even though technically they're not agenda items until the speaker approves the agenda, but just to keep you looking forward in case you have any upcoming conflicts.
All right, and we also, I don't know if Janice has communicated to you, tentatively scheduled Open Cape to be here. They've agreed to be here, and that'll probably be on the 16th also of November. So if you have any questions on them, that'll be an opportunity to address the subject. Is there any other business to be brought before the Assembly? Yeah.
I just wanted to remind members of the Economic Affairs Committee that we have a meeting scheduled at 3 p.m. on November 2nd.
November 2nd, okay. Yes? No, Open Cape is,
I'm 16.
oh, November 16th, yeah. Did I say October? Oh, sorry.
That was a good meeting, Deborah.
Yeah, well, we like to inform you in a timely fashion. Would be the 16th at 2. Okay, so it's all going to happen the same day, but not at the same meeting. Okay. Okay, is there any other, is there any other business to be brought before the committee, before the Assembly? No?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Why can't-